So Fiverr, Upwork, we all know these freelance platforms. The big problem with these freelance platforms is that escrow. It's a good thing too, but it's also a problem. Now, years ago, I wanted to work with a UI UX designer, and I wasn't very familiar with, getting to really know what I wanted to do. So I wanted somebody to talk to, someone I can have a deep conversation with, so we can brainstorm around the design. I went to Fiverr and I was trying to look for designers, people who design user interface. I made a whole lot of them. I entered into so many orders with lots of them. I hired about four people on Fiverr, and every single one of them, it felt like the business was too transactional, where it was expected of me to really know what I wanted to do and then reach out to them when I know what I wanted to do and they can take up the job. Okay, 2022, something happened again. But this time around, it wasn't UI, it was front end development with HTML back then. I had my UI UX guy because I'd already gotten someone to do UI UX, and so he did the design. When he got done with the design, I had so much to do, so much in my hand, and believe me, it was more of focused on other important things that really mattered, and I couldn't do that coding myself because I mean, what's there to code, right? But I couldn't afford to code at that particular point in time, so I sent him off to Fiverr. We got to Fiverr. We got a guy on Fiverr, one Indian guy, or is it Pakistani? I can't recall for now. And we paid about this was he was charging us per page, right? So when I had it, I was first like, oh, are you sure I'm not gonna leave all these things I'm doing? But then I'm like, I mean, you already make some money, let some other developer eat as well. So we ended up paying $400 for 5 pages. I wouldn't want to say it's one of the worst services ever, but it became so bad because where we are, like why he was supposed to do the job, he came up with one story telling us about how currently there is an unrest in his country now, something like that. He's not going to be available. Then said he was sick, and I'm legit not kidding you. He did the job. It wasn't okay. We can't reach out to him to make changes. It was really, really very difficult, and I really felt bad about that whole experience. Now, Upwork, I've also been at Upwork. It's been a better experience in a way. But at the end of the whole day, it feels like I'm talking to transactional people. Like this other person at the other side, they don't really buy my dream that much. They just want to get the job done. So this is why when companies want to build, they don't go to this freelance platform. They look for software firms, people who are quite very passionate about this, but not just delivering the job. They want to maintain a partnership with you. A software firm doesn't just look at creating a page for you or an app for you today. They also think about maintaining it for you, working around the security. These people are people who have lots of developers under their, firm. And what is more important to them is to provide the best, digital solutions to their clients while making sure their employees get paid and rewarded handsomely. To them, they don't just see their employees, their workforce as people who work. They see them as people whom they have the due, the responsibility to cater for and help nurture. Because talent only gets better when you keep practicing and learning and researching. And in order for you to learn research, you need to have like good constant source of income that at least sorts out the bill while giving you the time to keep exploring, learning new technology and following up trend. So software companies are very passionate. They want their developers to always be up to date. And so rewarding them and giving them the best satisfaction and best uptime is what, they prioritize, just as they also prioritize making sure this customer is good. Okay, let me reach out to software firms. I started trying to reach out to software firms. I met lots of them, a whole lot of them. But there was something I noticed from every one of these software firms. Now, most of them had dealerships, partnerships spanning for years. Like someone has a partnership with this company for software development, and this relationship has been in for years. Why? Because the company or the business doesn't have the time to start setting up their own custom developers and having project managers. They want to leave it for these guys who won't be buried into this tech thing. They want to keep advancing on their own business while letting these other people advance on the tech. But they don't come cheap because obviously those developers doesn't come cheap. Then I started trying to check around Nigeria, trying to see, okay, what software companies do we have in Nigeria? I met lots of them. I saw many of them. These are companies that handle projects like um, school portals. Say, for instance, IMSU, a software company indeed, the school portal, right? Your NYC, your NIN, your every government portal is being built by a software company, not an individual. But now the problem is these software companies here in Nigeria, they don't really. I'm not, with all due respect, Tennyson is doing very well. We have quite a whole lot, like the Paystack team. We have there's some good software companies doing very well. The ones unaffiliated with the government. Because tell me why an NYSC server is always going down and NIN server is always going down. What is happening? Why can't we have stand up time? Even the Abuja distribution, sometimes you're trying to recharge the meter, it doesn't work. Why can't we have a software company that if they are affiliated with you, everybody just have a guarantee that your product will be so stable they will not hear any single problem because the team that always does that software, right? That software company, every product, service, or partner they have has one kind of high credibility when it comes to uptime. You see, this thing I just explained to you was the beginning of my long time journey. So when I said I was learning, I was learning, I was learning. I'm not just talking about, oh, I'm learning like I'm just learning how to do project management or oh, I'm just learning how to write a document. No. What I was practically learning was if I am to be the best software company in Africa, right? Because I don't want to really say the word in Africa. Let's say in Nigeria. Let's start from home, right? What would it take me? And so I learned what it would take me. It would take me to get people who are really very passionate with this tech thing, whose mindset is all about making sure that whoever they're developing this for, the people they're developing this for, would be people who love that product and it will be people who can rely on that product. If I can make sure I hire the best team of people that can do this, partners will be running. There'll be lots of queue. Everybody would want us to hire their product because somehow anybody who gives us a project to do, the person has so many nice things to say. The customers of the person has so many nice things to say. And then I started doing my research. That's when I started hearing me talk about looking for law chambers, trying to know what agreement. I started learning industrial psychology. I started learning how do I maintain a workforce? Because maintaining people and working with people is not an easy thing. You think it's easy? Nah, it's not an easy thing. So why is it not an easy thing? Imagine when I came online and I was talking about my source code, the Okekbot source code. Now the Okekbot source code, I had some developers, one of my UI UX as well. He was on the project, right? So what was his job? His job was to refine the UI UX, like to make sure the Okekbot interface is so easy, so people could use it. Because I'm not a UI UX guy. What did he do? He took the source code, make videos of it on YouTube because I wasn't available. I was so focused on coding. And while he was making this video, people started reaching out to him to know more. And somehow he started giving them a private demo of the source code that we're still developing in the process. I never knew because I gave him access to the whole YouTube channel. He went there, changed the phone number, and put in his own phone number. People started reaching out to this person directly, making payments to him for a product that we were building that was almost done. Finally, the product was done. People started coming up with different receipts. At the beginning, we were fulfilling these orders. Not until I had somebody to now start, because anybody that comes in at that point in time, me for a person wasn't too focused on the money. I was more focused on, I just finished the Cakebots because the whole thing with um the Google AdSense web automation thing, I had a course I did about it. The course had an issue. The up and down was much. Videos were taken out due to community guidelines, and using browser automations to beat advertisement platforms like AdSense and Adstera. It's not a legal thing. It's not good. It's bad. However, my brain then I didn't really care much. I was a guy with a hat who was a black hacker who does anything. So if I was able to beat the system, I didn't even think about the businesses whom I would be hurting because they're spending money on advertisements, right? But that's a topic for another day. And so somehow the course went in, but the videos will keep getting down because it's not really something you should be putting on social media. It's a bad thing. You should put it on Telegram or somewhere secured. And so when I kept making videos and trying to re-upload, they started pirating the videos, started sharing the copies. You just say somebody has your videos asking you for your help. I'm trying to run the code, the puppeteer thing on my platform, on my website, but on my computer, whichever. But when it pops up, it shows me this error. What do I do? Okay, you have not chatted with me before, so how do I know you? The person comes in to say, I got the course from Telegram. So you see, it was a problem. I said, I'm not going to do this course again. It doesn't make sense. It's not being pirated. People who don't really know how to use the software or don't know how to actually code, when they get into it, they just want to make money from Google advertisements and AdStar and all that. And so what they do, what they would normally do, is okay, I need a straightforward bot. I'm not here to learn VS Code and coding. And so they started asking for a refund. It started looking like the service was bad, or maybe I had ran away with their money or something. So the only escape was to make a user-friendly version. You don't have to download VS Code. You don't have to code yourself. Just open it up. It's a browser automation software, and then give it the things to do, and it does it for you. But I didn't know much about UI UX because I did my own original code on the terminal. So there was no user interface. It was just raw code as a developer. I had my commands, so I could just put them on the terminal. So that was where the UI UX guy came in to help me design something that the average person could put on their computer, and they would actually start making money from Google AdSense instantly without even having to code. And so when I was done with the project, I was not really that focused on money. So when anybody comes in, I just fulfill, orders, give them motivation. Oh, go try out the feature. To me, it was like every other person who thinks maybe the whole browser automation thing wasn't like a thing. Maybe we can have a look on this, right? Because it was beginning to feel like it was hurting my reputation, even if it doesn't make sense. Like if anybody ever feel, that's the topic for another day. Okay, now he happened to give them demo, giving them this demo, promised them life license, and when I had somebody to check in between to actually help activate people on my behalf, then I started saying something. The payment received are no longer tallying. So that means he was selling activations, receiving money through his personal wallet. Now, this is not a topic to talk about, okay, but this is just one of the personal experience I've had. I've had another experience before. And so the problem which people sometimes have with a software firm, it's also, if the problem people have with employing people to build software and product is if they can trust this person. Trust is such a very big word. Let me shock you. A very prominent church here in Nigeria. I don't feel like calling the name. You can go do your research. But this church did this thing where members could pay on the website. You could pay your tithes. You could pay your vow, your whatever you have promised the church. So people can go to the website and redeem their vows. This church is one of the biggest church in Nigeria. And for years, people would come to the websites and make donations, pay their vows and do every what you. Now, the developer who developed the site was a one man. His dad happened to be one of the top pastors in the church. And so maybe he was able to tell them, Daddy GO, I can handle it or something. Because that church was so big, it's one of the top churches in Nigeria. So I don't really know why they did not give, a proper software firm. Right. So, however, he did the job. He created the website. It was nice interface. Members could go there and redeem their file. Now, this guy on the other side as well was getting wealthy, like crazily heavy, like wealthy, where he started buying houses in Lagos. I'm not talking about one house. Like he buys house like it's nothing. I'm talking about buying houses like it's nothing. He started having properties up and down. Mind you, this is still one of the top churches in Nigeria. I'm talking about one of the biggest churches in Nigeria. I'm not going to mention the name, but you can go do your research and see it yourself. Now, he had an issue after a point in time. You'll be wondering where this issue is coming in from. He had a relationship going. So there was this girl he was dating there. The girl was somebody everybody in the church knew. So everybody in the church knew this girl, and their relationship has been going on for a very long time. Now, this is where the problem came in. He was no longer interested in this girl and felt like he wanted to marry or be with someone else. So when you wanted to be with someone else, you know what it feels like. There are two kinds of relationship. A relationship where two people are already fed up with each other. Everybody breaks up and everybody goes their way. It's not anybody's business. You said you're not doing it again. Me, self, I'm tired. Like I've just been here. Since self, I've tired. Okay, now bye-bye. Like nobody calls the other person. Everybody has moved on because they're not interested. Now we have one where the other person is clingy, meaning I'm holding on to you. I'm not going to let go of you. Now, this happens with maybe when a man has spent so much on a woman, he has done so much on a woman, and now the woman wants to go. He's like, no, after all the money I've spent on you, after everything I've done for you, or the other way too. It could be a woman who has sacrificed her youth, her life, her everything to make this man be who he is. And now the man is coming in to say he's not doing it again. What do you mean? So now that kind of relationship, one person would always want to hold the other person and drag the other person down, and most times it doesn't really go well. Now this is the position this guy was, because the girl, the one who he made feel he's gonna marry, that everybody knew. This girl also had lots of money through him. She bought property. She was doing so well. Even her family were doing so well. But however, it seems like she wasn't really ready to let go of this guy to go be with another person, which is this other girl he wanted to get married to. Now, so what did she do? She spoke to him and said, "See, I'm going to tell the church what you did on the website." So, what did he do on the website? So, on the website, he did a Russian roulette system. You know, when you bring a gun in the Russian roulette, you do like this. The bullet will go. You do, oh, it doesn't shoot. You bring it again, you do, poof. You do again. Oh, you know, when these people want to interrogate you, like in movies, where you see them put a gun, that's called a Russian roulette, right? You roll it. If the thing enters where it enters you, your own is gone. Now, this guy did a Russian roulette on the back end. So what did he do on the back end? On the back end, each time anybody comes to paying the tithe or the vow, that Russian roulette runs. Now, let's say 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 5. Let's say 1 out of 5. 1 out of 5, if it enters 3, the API key to load is my own Flutterwave or Paystack or whatever payment processor. But if it doesn't enter here, then let it go to the church account. So the church continuously keeps seeing money coming in, vow coming in. And you know, anything that has to do with tithe, vow, you know, things like this, they audit directly from the website. So money that drops into the church account is what the financial auditors can audit. But when you pay directly on the website, you know, you paid on the website. So the one that entered the church account is the one that will actually appear on the table. If it doesn't appear on the church account, it will not be inserted. And members are not buying a product. Like if you go to Jumia, Konga, Amazon, and you buy something, you're being given a receipt and invoice that you can use to go and claim that thing you bought. So when somebody, if you do this on a site that has to do with maybe payments, e-commerce websites where you get to pay for items, if you pay for an item and you don't see it, you message the customer support and say, "Hey, customer support, see what I bought, so I've not seen it." But this is not that case of where somebody is buying something. So this is a case where somebody is coming in to donate freely to the church. They're not hoping to be called back or to use the invoice for anything. They just want to go and donate and go with their life. And so because of that, on that his own Russian bullet, which is when he does that Russian roulette thing, when it enters on his API, that is how he makes his money. Continuous donations, tithe, seed that came through that website was going into this guy's, you know, personal accounts. This is what he did for the years he handled the website project. He was living large in Lagos. People felt this guy was having deals and bills and, you know, up and down, not knowing he was eating from the church for years. So she said, "I'm going to expose you." Now, I think this video is getting so long. It's going almost like it's 20 minutes. The idea of the video I wanted to actually make is talking about, I'm sorry, I'm going straight too much into the story. Maybe we'll talk about that some other time. But anyway, the story got to the eyes of the public because the lady was like, "I'm going to expose you." And he made a very stupid mistake. He was replying how it's, "Nobody will believe you. You're pained, move on." Somebody who you know your secrets, knows that kind of thing you do, you're telling her to move on. I think he was actually very dumb. She took the screenshot, met the church, told them. They said, "No." He said, "Yes." He said, "You will not believe me. Look at it." And they went through the chat like, this is real. So if he's saying we would not believe you, we need an external person. So they started asking the guy for data to the server. They want to go through the code because the guy was describing it, because the guy also described it like that to the girl. So they said, "Okay, you know what? They would want to see his own bank account. If he can prove the money that has been entering his own account, like his account statement, can you prove the money that has been coming in there? What was it for?" And that was when they involved the agency. They sat him down. "Come and prove the money has been entering your accounts." After main interrogation, he broke. And that was how the world got to know that church money was going to the developer's account. So you see, this kind of story, some pastors must have had it as well. And so when you tell them to give one person to handle their websites, to handle their projects, they would not want to. There's so many trust issues within this field. People create a bank website, a bank app, they're mounting backdoors. Look at what happened to Patricia. Patricia was a very big name. He was hacked. Till today, that guy can't even talk because everybody keeps calling him names, thinking he stole the money. Meanwhile, it was a backdoor in the system. But he can't actually do anything again. So this means if you're a tech founder who built your own team and be the wrong people, you will be dead on arrival. But that is why I started making that research, because me and you, we're going to build the next